I'm honored and delighted to invite Stephen Goodman to speak with us now about Buddhist and Christian musings on love and cosmos. Almost the same presentation, Stephen, that you were planning last year and then couldn't give us because of your health, but we are so fortunate that you're able to be with us this year and deliver this presentation. Most of you know Stephen, but he is the core faculty and Director of Research in Asian and Comparative Studies at CIIS. His workshops on trauma, trickster, and creativity, which is going on this weekend as well, right?
As we speak.
As we speak. The real trick is how it can be two places at one time.
No, how it can be no place at the same time.
And his research into Tibetan contemplative traditions are informed by his interest in transformative energies of heart presence. And I know Stephen to have a large presence of heart. So welcome, Stephen Goodman.
Well, if we're speaking about large or enlarged heart, I first of all want to acknowledge all of the heart-centered work that Rand and his band of merry pranksters have done to pull off effortlessly this spontaneous arising, which took no effort whatsoever to plan. And also, wherever he is right now, I want to send out a healing hug to Adam Hudson.
Yes.
And so, I have 3 readings, written in English, and then something from the Tibetan tradition, which I'll try to render fresh, styling it in the present. The first are from a contemporary Canadian contemplative Christian, that's 4 C's in a row, Tim Lilburn, a poet, Jesuit-trained nature philosopher who, in the great sense of poetry as defined by Pound, brings to us, some of us, our mother tongue, that is English, news that stays news. Pound's definition of poetry. And then that standing in for this term Christian, what that might mean, focusing more on eros than agape, segueing to a 14th century Tibetan mystic who channels or excites in the radiant heart of our central channels what the cosmic ground of being emanates out as the intensity core of heart energies that come to us from a distant star, rainbow shifted as love. That's the agenda. Right. Budget, actual, variance. I want to go back. It seems ludicrous to want this. I want to bed down beside things. I don't want to be alone in that part of me that wants some familial relation with the grass. I want to be married there, home, quiet, looking around. I want to go back. Maybe it's just that I want to be heard as matter, heard as animal, want to be heard in this broad a way, and want the rest that such recognition would spread along the whole muscle of self. Bushland, humpland, slow, turned away, birds lifting and falling, the sleep of randomness. I am lonely for where I am. Miss a bedding down with things, a gathering at the water. But you can't power yourself there, can't wrestle into yourself the simplicity you might imagine the task of return requires. The confection of a virtuous stupidity seems like more of the narcissism one would like to leave behind. It's better if you bend to the beauty of things. Unmanaged, untranslatable beauty. Then see what virtue that beauty brings. Proximity will never be effortless. Here, human beings limp. There will always be the envelope of valuing and doing which self-consciousness casts up. Esteem for the world woos decorum, a softness, an indirectness of approach. It provokes gratitude. You note the generosity of things, the generosity of things being nothing other than what they are. Esteem lays open the possibility of receiving what the world might offer if it weren't simply the object of management. I'll go down to the river, wolf-colored hunch of water. I'll go down to the lake. I like the poverty of the river, the beauty of this poverty. Here's an absence to aspire to. It is widowed, orphaned, as I would like to be. The slimness to which desire painfully, beneficially delivers you. There's a singing in things, or you can call it a sleep. Its beauty is a kind of loyalty, an upholding, a patriotism for something that does not seem to exist. Though immense, it is frail. This shining tone in things vanishes to be replaced by sentiment and ownership as soon as any sort of relationship with it is assumed. I want this thing, and this wanting will make me poor. Desire is strange. It breeds estrangement. Desire is strange. It seems distant, delivered yet not assumable, larger than self, the self quintessentially. Desire appears to stand outside, ingenious, telos scenting, gusting. It enacts a work in whom God chooses. It refuses the causality of merit. It infiltrates the contemplative and becomes the vector and the haste of his interiority. Desire follows the delight of God, is what one cannot know, likes the joy of this external force, intimate, kidnapping, lifting, disconcerting, beneficent. Its push and easy pull make it nothing other than desire. Yet it is not this, but a thing thou knowest never what, that stirreth thee to will and desire thou knowest never what, from the cloud of unknowing. A meta-personal exigence, unreadable, seemingly supplanting the self. It cannot be chosen, cannot be manufactured. What one most elementally needs, union with the source of being, the larger self of oneness, is not even desirable without this work begun within one. Not even desirable unless one has the single desire that alone can desire it. The soul without this scent impulse is not alive. This stirring makes you atopos, the non-erotic mutter. It makes you unlike yourself, stripping you of the use of sight, reason, affect, imagination, thrusting you toward the upset and non-refusability of the cloud. Desire may be built and shaped by exclamations, sin, God. In time it nudges into sorrow. A raw sense of self appears to stand between the contemplative and the pulling cloud, that lump of sin. The individual apprehended as essentially malaligned by cupidity. This sense arises with sorrow. Only ghostly sorrow can relieve it. This naked knowing and feeling of one's being. This corrective sorrow is penthos, the experience of tears through which the soul comes to be inflamed. It is brought to the mute prayer of fire. This sadness that is prayer is erotic. I can't read that. This sadness that is prayer is erotic, is not despair. If it truly comes from desire, it leans toward discretion, even in the matter of tears. It eschews all sorts of strain. Penthos smooths the impulse to self. In it, the self is felt as a congealed mass of ineptness. Felt thus, it occludes less the passage to that cloud, while strained simulacra of this work, melodramatic dolor, rococo physical effects, are vanities, the self gaudily asserted, blocking the encounter with divine opacity. Desire chastens language. It halts what is meant ghostly from being appropriated bodily. Paul kuntazang polad chag salo. To glorious well-being everywhere and at all times. Praise be. Dodne lundrab ngotsar medu ch. Primordial, spontaneous, miraculous, marvelous thing. Rangjung yeshe osil chanchup sem. Self-arisen, timeless awareness, radiant light, refining, optimizing presence. Nansid nochu korde jungwei John. What is and what will be every environment and every being therein, the world of pain and beyond, just as these arise, are known as treasure. Miyo todang drala chagsalo, never wavering from this essential, beyond all fabrication. Praise be. Osel lundrup dorje nyingpoi long, this radiance, shining, spontaneous, continuous essence, wave, Tsolsheng dripme rangjen bapge long, beyond all effort, beyond all work, its essence befalls us everywhere as the breaking wave of what is. Yejang Meidu Jungwa Sheki Nyo. Forever expanding, it's arising, magnificent. I'd like to say a few words about this. Listen up. Lundrup Longle Tamshe Jungwei Ji, this spontaneous wave from which all arises is the ground of being, Ngowotola Rangjen Magak Pei, and its essence is an ever-expanding openness whose nature is unstoppable, and therefore, Chiryang Madrib Chiryang Charwate, there is no way to determine whatsoever what may arise. Everything may arise. Kusung Longne Korde Rangshar Gyang. The awakened dimensions of embodiment, resonance, and awareness from this ground self-arise as the display of pain and all that beyond pain. Yingle Mayo Chunyi Dewe Shing. And from this shimmering wave, never departing, the true nature of what is the ground of ecstatic presence. Semyi Longchen Girme Nam Kai Ngang. This very essence of consciousness, an unchanging wave of great exaltation, reverberates as the cosmic sky. Ropa ngeme tukche choktru long. We now come to love in this last. Its playfulness in infinite, indeterminate forms comes as the magical wave of the love of cosmic being itself. Thank you.
Read that last line one more time.
Well, questions? Gee, Brian, I seem to have lost my place in space. If I knew the words, I'd sing you a bit of Sun Ra's Space is the Place. I'll find it après this present moment. Yeah. Sorry.
We have a couple of minutes if you have questions or comments for Stephen.
Just a clarification. It's not my task to clarify. A confusion. Yes, I'm happy to confuse. What I was reading from in Tibetan was something called the Chuying Dzud, the treasury of basic space. And this came to this mystic and philosopher and poet, Longchenpa, at a cave in Tibet, which I was privileged to go visit in 2004, 17,000 feet high, and just like a shameless Gnostic groupie, I brought the Tibetan with me, some kind of, non-dual karaoke, and was just, I had the words there, and was in the very cave where this revelation came, and the Tibetan who was tending things for all the, eco-tourists, or whatever, he was like, what, this honky's reading my language, and he sort of came over and saw, and we, quote, got on the same page, and I actually have a video of us like, the Blues Brothers reading this at 17,000 feet. And someday, under an alias, I'll actually bring that video. So I'm a big believer in being in place. Poet friends of mine say, to exist at all is to be in place. Yes?
Hearing you read that, and now hearing that you were in the cave, I think some kind of download happened, because in all the other lectures I go to of yours, I think it's basically that poem coming out in different ways.
Well, with heartfelt fractility, I thank you.
Can I get a second on this?
Well, we got brother C, Flashmaster C in the back there.
So you translated a word as love. I was wondering if you
Tujje.
could you be more descriptive in why you chose that, and what that means? And
So everything I said up until that point was the definition. Okay, so primordial, spontaneous, marvelous, self-arisen, radiant, the treasury from which, etc., etc. So that was, I did it, I'm into, Ginger Rogers, so I did it in I didn't wear high heels, backwards. First give the definition, then give the word that was defined, right? So, but thank you, yeah. And it's said to be, this is the love of the universe, but that's kind of like, you're never going to roll out with a band with that name, Right. It's got a pop. Yeah. But that other stuff, from Tim Lilburn, desire. Right. Yeah.
That you have in your hand, that last thing you read from, is that available to people like us?
Mere earthlings? Well, nobody's an earthling. We're all on cosmic day passes from a universe that we refuse to acknowledge. Yeah, there's a translation, not like this one, but yeah, you can go see AW here. He'll point you in the direction of something. Yeah. Oh, there was someone who was, and then Joy had another. No, that was it. The joy has dissipated. Okay.
Thank you, Stephen.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.